So what even is a stage manager? Today we're going to find out. My name is Kent and this is your half-hour call. Attention cast and crew, this is your half-hour call. Half hour to the top of the show. Half hour, please. Today we're going to be talking about the definition of a stage manager and why it's so ding-dang gosh darn hard for people to agree on a job description. We're also going to be talking about what a stage manager is not, and the specific roles on an American theatrical stage management team. So first things first, I wanted to go over some really terrible definitions of stage management that I found on the internet. So Merriam-Webster defines a stage manager as a person who is in charge of the stage, scenery, lighting, etc. for a performance in a theater. This definition sounds a lot more like a production manager to me. We're not in charge of the stage, scenery, lighting, etc. We're in charge of the execution of all of those things during a specific performance and the maintenance of the artistic vision throughout the run. Dictionary.com defines stage manager as a person responsible for the technical details of a theatrical production, assisting the director during rehearsals, supervising the lighting, costuming, setting, prompting, etc., and assuming full responsibility for the stage during a performance of a play. I like none of that definition. The first sentence, a person responsible for the technical details of a theatrical production, completely ignores the management of the actors and of the actual art of the production. Assisting the director during rehearsal, stage managers are not an assistant director. That would be the assistant director. Next up, I have an outdated definition from Actors Equity Association. They say the stage manager shall be responsible for calling of all rehearsals, whether before or after opening, shall assemble and maintain the prompt book, which is defined as the accurate playing text and stage business, together with such cue sheets, plots, daily records, etc. as are necessary for the actual technical and artistic operation of the production, assume active responsibility for the form and discipline of rehearsal and performance, and be the executive instrument on the technical running of each performance. Maintain the artistic intentions of the director and the producer after opening to the best of his or her ability, including calling correctional rehearsals of the company when necessary and preparation of understudies, replacements, extras, and supers. I don't even know what supers are. I've never heard that term in my life. Hold on. Alright, supernumerary actor. Supernumerary actors are usually amateur character actors in opera and ballet performances who train under professional direction to create a believable scene. The term's original use from the Latin supernumarius meant someone paid to appear on stage in crowd scenes, or in the case of opera, as non-singing small parts. I have heard of this, okay. The word can still be found used for such in theater and opera. It is the equivalent of an extra in the motion picture industry. I just want to point out that they used both the word extra and supernumerary. Jesus Christ. So I don't really know what the difference is. If you know the difference between an extra and a supernumerary, please let me know in the comments below, and I will thank you because I have no idea. Like I said, that's an outdated definition, and a long outdated definition. They don't have a updated version of that form. That is sort of what's happening right now, actually, in the stage management community in Equity, is they're working on getting us an actual job description so that they can enforce and protect the stage managers better, because you can't enforce what you haven't defined. And then a couple good definitions I found in books. This is from Production Stage Management for Broadway by Peter Lawrence. Peter Lawrence defines the U.S. style of production stage management is based on the idea that once a show has opened, everything upstage of the proscenium arch is controlled by the stage manager. All technical, artistic, safety, timing, and personality issues are in the hands of the stage manager. All eyes turn to the stage manager during the run of the show. This is probably my favorite definition of stage manager that I will be reading to you guys today, because it covers a lot of the soft skills that can really get bogged down in by giving you just a list of duties, and it really covers it also covers the duties, right? The only thing that I would complain about is that it really focuses on the maintenance of a show. So once the show is open, it doesn't really talk about the rehearsal process as much. My favorite line of the whole thing is, all eyes turn to the stage manager during the run of the show. And I would add to that, especially when goes down. When things are in chaos, the stage manager is the one everyone turns to make the call about how to proceed and how to proceed safely. Next up, we have Thomas Kelly from the Backstage Guide to Stage Management. And Thomas Kelly says that stage managers are responsible and adaptable communicators who have the ability to handle and coordinate diverse groups of artistic personalities with tactful discipline and a sense of humor. They establish a creative environment by combining the ability to prioritize and anticipate and solve problems with calm sensitivity and grace under pressure. Their ability to do the above stems from organizational ability, acquired technical knowledge, familiarity with union requirements, and an inspirational personality that creates a positive energy. This is a pretty good definition. It focuses a lot more on the soft skills of what they do, and it focuses a little bit more on their role in rehearsal, the stage manager's role in rehearsal, which is to create an environment in which people can create. And I think that's a better definition for the rehearsal process, but Peter Lawrence's definition was better for performances. And last but not least, this is written from the perspective of a general manager. It's from Mitch Weiss and Perry Gaffney's book, The Business of Broadway. As members of the Actors Equity Association Union, stage managers must have the complete trust of the director, the producer, the crew, and the actors, since they are the protectors of the quality of the show on a daily basis, especially in the director's absence. I really like that last line in particular. Maintaining the show is one of the most important things that we do after the show opens. So that really shows that we're kind of rooting for the same thing, right? The play's the thing. That's the whole point. That's why we're all here. My definition of stage management is almost too simple. Stage manager is the manager of the stage. That sounds way too simple, but in essence, that's what it is, right? We're managing the show. We are managing the show, and that's it. Everything that has to do with the quality of the show, the maintenance of the show, creating an environment where we can create the show. We are managing the show. We're not creating the show. We're not changing the show. We're not doing anything to it. We are just maintaining it. And the protectors, I love that word, protectors of the show. We're a coordinator and a facilitator between all departments to make sure they're maintaining that show as it was opened. One of my philosophies of stage management, you can't stage manage a bad show into a good show. You just can't. You can very easily stage manage a good show into a bad show, but it doesn't work the other way around. So my philosophy is that my job is to make sure that everyone has what they need to do their job to the best of their ability, specifically the information that they need to do their job to the best of their ability. Because we're the communications liaison, if you will. We're the Jennifer Giroux of theater. That's my definition. How's that? Defining stage management is a really complicated topic because on one hand, you have a very concrete list of items, of paperwork, of duties, of responsibilities, of qualifications to be a stage manager and what stage management entails. But on the other hand, there's almost this indescribable soft skills of what it really means to be a stage manager. Sometimes it's actually easier to figure out what a stage manager is not instead of what a stage manager is. A stage manager is not a director. If you are here to make changes, make choices, make artistic decisions about the show, you're probably in the wrong seat if you want to be a director. That's not to say that stage managers don't need an artistic sensibility or a director's eye. You absolutely do, because you're maintaining the show. You're probably, if you're on a long-running show, you're the one that's training replacements, you're training understudies, and if there's a reblock that's needed because you're down a couple performers that show, you're the one that's going to be implementing those changes and making sure that they fit with the director's vision. But you are not the director. Stage management also is not about being in charge. If you are here to be the head honcho, if you're here to make underlings do your bidding, please leave. We don't do that. Stage management is not about being in control. It's about facilitating. It's about aiding in communication. It's about leading from a place of yes. Especially in high school stage management, there's this kind of stereotype of the mean stage manager that goes around and yells at actors to shut up or not touch other people's props or learn their lines or whatever other things you might want to yell at actors about. So if you are a high school stage manager watching this, I would challenge you to absolutely obliterate that stereotype. Do the exact opposite. Lead from a place of compassion, lead from a place of yes, and always do your best to make sure that you're all on the same team, right? You're all here to support the show, you're just in different roles. You're serving the show in different capacities, but you are all serving the show. Along those lines, the stage manager is not the big boss. The stage manager is not the person that's hiring or firing or docking pay or anything like that. That's the producer, artistic director, or general manager, depending on what type of company you're working for, right? Of course, there are exceptions to this rule. A lot of times on long-running Broadway shows, the production stage manager will be involved in the hiring and casting of replacement actors, and then in most equity contracts, the stage manager is supposed to have some influence over the hiring of assistants and other members of the stage management team, including subs and replacements and everything like that. Stage managers are not crew members. The stage manager and assistant stage manager are not inherently tasked with the presetting of props, the execution of scenic shifts, or the running of a sound or light board. Those things fall outside of stage managers' responsibility, and if you are being asked to do these things, it's important to remember that A, if you're on an equity contract, you need to be negotiating for additional pay because this falls outside of your responsibility, and B, if you're not on an equity contract, it's just important to remember that these are not inherently duties of a stage manager. Equity actually explicitly prohibits stage management from participating in several parts of running a theater company, including having contracts or riders signed or initialed, signing the closing notice for the company or a termination notice for a specific actor, doing any part of the payroll, doing building maintenance, janitorial maintenance, custodial maintenance, or house management work. But the most important thing is that a stage manager is not a catch-all for things that the theater does not have another person hired to do. Your job is a full-time job. Stage managers' jobs are full-time jobs, and you can't add things to that workload without something else suffering. Okay, so those are all things that stage managers don't do, but what do stage managers do? The stage manager's job essentially is to use all forms of communication to streamline the dissemination of information as efficiently as possible. And that means paperwork. A stage manager will create countless documents such as these that keep a record of the artistic and technical information needed to create and maintain the show. And ultimately, that all gets compiled into a production book, also known as a show bible or a prompt book. This contains all of the information you need to run the show, and if there was going to be a remount, this would contain all of the information that they need to remount that show. So now we know what the stage management team as a whole is responsible for, but what are the individual roles in that stage management team? If you've ever seen a Broadway show or a national tour, you might have been flipping through the program and seen someone credited with the title Production Stage Manager. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. That title doesn't actually exist. Originally, the term production stage manager was the first stage manager on the show, so the one that was there in rehearsals and took it through tech and opened the show. So they were there for production of the show, hence the term production stage manager. But recently, they've just been using production stage manager to credit any head stage manager, whether they were there for the rehearsal process or not, which in turn made the first assistant stage managers request to be billed as simply stage manager, and then the second assistant stage managers as assistant stage managers. So now if you look through a playbill, the production stage manager, according to their contract, is a stage manager. Then the stage manager, according to the playbill, is the first assistant stage manager according to the contract, and then the assistant stage manager, according to the playbill, is the second assistant stage manager according to the contract. I know it's confusing, and it really doesn't matter, but it's just because people want to look fancy in the playbill. That's it. So regardless of whether you're called the production stage manager or the stage manager, whether you're an ASM or the second ASM, what are your duties within the team? How is the job split up amongst the team members? Well, traditionally, a production stage manager is going to be the one that is calling the show. So they're sitting there with the script in front of them, making sure that lights, sound, set changes, actor entrances, everything happens at the right time every single night. Assistant stage managers will typically be running the deck, which is the stage itself. So they will be in the wings, the offstage area to the right or left of the stage, making sure that scenery is moving on and off at the right time and safely. They'll be making sure that actors are in their places at the top of each act. They'll be watching quick changes, making sure props are being preset and handed off correctly. All of the stuff that actually requires someone to physically be on the deck of the stage watching things happen. If you have two assistant stage managers, one of them will traditionally be running stage right and the other one will be running stage left. In rehearsals, it's a totally different ballgame. The production stage manager essentially has the authority to give whatever member of the team whatever task they want. Everywhere I have worked, the production stage manager is the one taking blocking notes and doing the daily calls and reports. And then the assistant stage managers are tasked with doing entrance-exit sheets and tracking props and making run sheets and all of the things that will, essentially they're doing the rehearsal version of what they will be doing in the theater. So they'll be doing run sheets, they'll be doing preset checklists, all of that for rehearsals, and then when they move into the theater, they'll be the ones communicating that to the crew to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible in tech. And the last member of the stage management team are production assistants. These people are not on a union contract if it's a equity show. On Broadway, there will be a lot of different production assistants for different departments. So there will be music production assistants that are updating the score, making sure that everyone has the correct music. And then there will be script production assistants, making sure that the script is updated as the writers are constantly making changes during rehearsal. And then there's stage management production assistants that are basically extra hands to do things like make copies or distribute paperwork or just update documents that the stage management team doesn't have time to update. Regional theaters typically don't have the ability to hire a full stage management team, so the production assistants will usually be used to kind of fill in those gaps. So if this theater is only able to hire one stage manager for the show, the PA will function as an assistant stage manager. If the theater is able to hire a stage manager and an assistant stage manager, the PA will function as the second assistant stage manager. A lot of times in regional theaters, PAs will also become run crew members once the show moves into the theater. So do you have a good definition for what a stage manager is? If you do, leave it for me in the comments down below, and maybe we can come up with a good job description together. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, because the more people that watch these videos, the better guests I can con into coming on here and doing interviews. I don't have a Patreon, and I do not plan on making a Patreon. If this fact bums you out, please take the money that you would have given me and give it to one of these awesome organizations: the Actors Fund, Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, or my personal favorite option is buy a ticket to a local equity nonprofit regional theater and go see some live theater, because it is phenomenal and is the best way to get involved and learn about how to make good theater. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and this has been your half-hour call.